Hi, and welcome back to the Hmong Women podcast. Welcome back to season 2. Yay. I'm Ariel.
I'm Emily.
Today, we just wanted to kick it off and maybe talk a little bit about the job market, previous jobs, our previous job experiences. So in your mind, how do you think the job market is right now?
Yeah, I think before we start off with that, how have you been? How was the new year for you?
Right. Check-ins, yeah. I think the new year was pretty uneventful. I remember back in college, the New Year Eves, we'd be like, what bar are we going to hit up? And where are we going to go? But I feel like now, since I'm entering into my late 20s, it's just very chill and laid back. So I spent my New Year's Eve at my sister's.
Oh, that's sweet. What'd you guys do? Did you guys do the countdown together?
Yeah. Well, we didn't really do the countdown this year for some reason, but we kept our eyes on the clock. Mm-hmm. But we all just did a potluck. So I brought my chicken pasta salad, which is really high protein, really good and fresh, with oregano and mint. And then everyone brought other stuff. And then my sister made a really good chocolate tres leche.
Ooh.
Oh, it was so good.
That is good. That's what's so funny? I made a vanilla tres leches for New Year's.
Stop.
No, I did.
Oh my God. You guys are in the same vibe.
Yeah. Ooh, but a chocolate one. That sounds delish.
So we had that. And then she made the Japanese drink with condensed milk and fruit.
Oh, okay. I've seen those.
Called?
I don't know what they're called, but I've seen them on TikTok.
Yeah. So we had that. And then probably 30 minutes down, we started clearing out. And then everyone started grabbing their green grapes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we each grabbed green grapes. And the key is you're supposed to do it at 11:59 going into midnight. So we were all at 11:59, crouched underneath her table and eating our 12 grapes.
I thought the 12 grapes were for single people, no?
No, so I thought it was 2, but you can make a wish for anything, I heard.
Oh.
Yeah.
I should have done the green grapes.
I know. So I made a wish, and it was midnight, and then we went home 30 minutes later.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting. You don't have to tell me what you made a wish for, but I hope it comes true.
Girl, I'm wishing. Pray for me, folks.
Honestly, though.
Yeah.
It's going to come true. I know it. 2025 is going to be a good year.
I have a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, they say it's a year 9. Because when you add up the numbers in 2025, it's a numerical number of 9.
7, 9. Oh.
And 9 is supposed to be the year a cycle ends, a year of prosperity and fortune for a lot of folks. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I was just looking up superstitions and stuff like that, numerology. I got into the rabbit hole of numerology, and 2025 is a year 9 year. Some people are closing out cycles. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But how was your New Year's Eve?
It was good. I was home. Thank goodness. Because we didn't meet up with our family till the 1st, so New Year's Day, to do my dad and my sister's birthday. But I was home.
Wait, were they burnt on the 1st?
So my little sister is the 31st.
Okay.
And then my dad, the birthday that I was assigned to him when he came to the U.S. was the 1st of January. Yeah. So we always do their birthdays together, which is kind of sad because they should have their own birthdays, but they don't mind having it together at the same time.
We do that too.
Yeah. So I was home enjoying my little life. And I was like, I need money coming into my life. Okay. So I taped coins to the top of my door frame and then put coins outside of my windowsill. So you're supposed to do that the evening of New Year's Eve, and then the morning of New Year's Day, you take them down and bring them inside and spend them to bring abundance into your life.
Wait, I've never heard that before. Is that Hmong?
No.
Okay.
I think it's practiced in Scotland and a couple of other countries, and I've just been seeing all on Witch Talk. And so I'm gonna try it because I want abundance flowing in my life, and so I did it, and yeah, we'll see. That's what I did. It was relaxing. And then at 12:15, I went to bed.
On the dot.
On the dot. No, seriously, because I'm tired. I can't do any New Year's parties and stuff like that. So I went to bed. Yeah. But it was good New Year's.
Yeah.
But tres leches, I would make it again. It's not as hard as I thought it was.
It's not.
But
yeah.
It was pretty bomb.
Was this your first time making it?
It was. Yeah. So I think I can improve. It was good, but it could be better in my head. So I'm going to try again another time. Mm-hmm. But for the first time, it was pretty good. And I bought whipped cream from Cup Foods.
Ooh,
So I love their
the
whipped cream. They have good whipped cream.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what I did. Yeah. Back to the job market. Ariel and I are kind of knee deep in that right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are. The job market is really shit right now. And I hate that. I saw this post from a recruiter and they're like, right now it's really a worker's market. Like, you guys have all these job openings you can apply to. And I watched that video and I was like, what fucking bullshit? Like, what bullshit is that? Because I've applied to 12 jobs and I've heard back from one.
Wow.
And I can't even imagine like the people who have been applying for the past year and they've heard back from none. So if my like a small amount is already infuriating me, I can't even begin to like say for other people. But you're also knee deep in it too.
Yeah, I've been job looking for like the past couple months, and I feel like no matter how many applications I send out there, like it's just not enough. Like I've had 2 interviews. The first interview went good, but then I was like, I've already done all this. Like I don't really think I want to repeat it because I know I'll be uninterested and just be out for a new job in the next year.
Yeah.
Second one I really, really loved is with a local nonprofit, but I don't know. I'm just a little petty. They didn't choose me.
Yeah.
Still a little petty.
You know, and that's fair.
Still petty.
I'm still salty about some things that have happened to me, okay?
But yeah, still petty about that. And then I was telling Emily the other day that like I wanted to work at a local bookshop or bookstore. And so I put an application. I waited like 7 to 10 days, as you are supposed to. Called in, the manager wasn't there, but the employee was. So I was like, yeah, I'm just inquiring about this job application and like how much minimum or, you know, how much the pay range would be. And she was like, well, we start at 10 and then you can make tips on the weekend. And that was the first and last question that I asked her. Because I was like, no. That reminds me of my first job. And it might be a good segue, but...
Yeah. So what was it?
So, my first job.
Yeah.
Do you know what my first job is?
Was it at Leanne Chin's?
Yeah. I think we met when I was at Leanne Chin, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So my first job was at Leanne Chin. I started off as a server, and then I did that for a year. They transitioned me to a shift supervisor, and I did that for the rest of my time there, which is 3 years total. And so... I don't know. There are so many pros and cons to working in fast food. But I will say the pros was that it was a really good first job. Like, it kept you on your toes. You were never bored. You were always busy. It was, like, I'm extroverted, so, like, I enjoy talking to people. And I feel like we were actually sort of, weirdly enough, like, family-like there. So, like, I had a lot of Hispanic coworkers, and, like, they'd make me tamales, and we'd, like, buy each other, like, Christmas and birthday gifts. We did Christmas at the location. So, like, just little things like that. And, like, everyone helped out. When someone couldn't come in, we'd be like, oh, yeah, I can pull that shift, you know, no big worries. And then, obviously, the cons to working at Leanne Chin were you smelled bad. You did. You'd go home smelling like deep fried food, and I hated that shit so much. And like I'd come home and like my smell would just waft or whatever it's called, like into the living room, and I'd stink up the living room in like 5 minutes. It was that bad.
Yeah. No, I hear you because I worked at McDonald's for 4 years. And sometimes it was hard to get the grease off of your clothes. Like you had to wash it in a different batch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But you know what? The thing about working in fast food teaches you is it teaches you to work with chaos. And it really teaches you great customer service skills because people are so entitled when they come into fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
Like I worked in Champlain in the rich neighborhood. So
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so people would come in super entitled. Well, my dad makes this much money. I drive a Range. Okay, good for you. You're still coming into McDonald's and ordering McDonald's. So why are you being entitled? Yeah. So I agree. Like the pros are, you know, I worked with a lot of Hispanic coworkers too, and they would make me homemade tamales and
oh my god,
I would bring them egg rolls or sticky rice. But they taught me a lot of like bad words in Spanish, which I don't remember any of them anymore other than puta.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
But yeah, no, it was really fun. I'm still friends with a lot of people I worked with at McDonald's too. So yeah,
Do you guys like hang out here and there?
we do. We actually have a hangout planned out in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we've known each other for like over 10 years too. Yeah, good life. I would not go back to McDonald's.
Me neither.
Have I told you I had a nightmare that I worked at McDonald's again?
What was it?
Like, it's usually like that dream occurs like every once in a while.
every month?
Not every month, but like every other month maybe. But I've had that dream at least like 4 times now where like I'm back at McDonald's, I'm working a closing shift because I was a closer, and it's just me and 3 other people. Usually it wasn't even me and 3 other people, it was just me and the closing manager. Like just the 2 of us. Yeah. And I would be panicking because there's lines out the door. Our ice cream machine is broken. You know the joke of like the McDonald's ice cream machine always being broken.
Yeah.
And our drive-thru is backed up. And then where our McDonald's is situated, the empty parking lot next to our McDonald's, they use that to shoot fireworks for the Champlain like carnival or whatever. And so at that night would always, of course, the machine would always break. We'd be busy, and my dream would always include that.
The most chaotic time.
And like when I closed, like I would be working kitchen and customer service. So I'm taking orders while in the kitchen, running up, doing it, taking their money, running back into the kitchen, making their food. But I like sometimes still have nightmares about working at McDonald's. But I also know that if it comes down to it and I have to work at McDonald's again, I can do it.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Luncheon I had to cook too. And like I hated cooking because there were 2 times where I actually burned off my eyelashes and eyebrows. Yeah. It was, oh my God, Emily, I fucking hated that place because of that. But basically,
How does that happen? Oh my God.
I know, it's weird. So we have woks, okay? And so every single time you finish like making orange chicken or sesame chicken or whatever the hell you're making, you have to rinse it out with water and then scrub it off and then tilt the wok so that the dirty water goes out into the little drain that we have. And so sometimes when I did that, I would push the wok up and the water would escape and distinguish the flame underneath the wok. And me being me, like I cook at home, but I don't cook like at, places like this. So when I would forget, I wouldn't turn down the flame. And so I would leave the flame at medium heat, and then I would get a lighter, light it, and then you'd be like, whoosh. It was bad.
That's like my brother with our propane tanks.
Yeah.
Like you hear the propane going, I'm like, you need to lower it. It's gonna be fine.
So yeah.
Well, I'm glad your lashes have grown back.
I know, but they got, burnt off twice.
Oh my gosh.
Twice.
That's crazy.
It was bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we don't work there anymore.
I low-key had PTSD from that place because of the cooking.
You know what? Valid though.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I have PTSD from cleaning the grill at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wait, why does that give you PTSD?
Because how you have a solution that you have to make, that you have to use to like clean it off. And then the vats on the side collect the grease and the water from throughout the day. But the grills are always on until the end of the night when you turn it off. So you have to scrub. And then the grills also have like a really thin lining that you have to use to cover it every day. So you have to make sure to take it off. And when you take it off, you burn yourself because you have to use your hands to take it off unless you want to use the heat gloves.
You don't use heat gloves?
No, because then they're really thick. So I got used to it, like my hands got used to the heat. So there are times where I would just take it off like I didn't feel anything. But like when you're scrubbing the grease under the little sheets on the grill, like sometimes you burn yourself because you accidentally rub yourself against the hot metal.
Oh.
Yeah, and then like the grease vats, sometimes people forget to empty them. And so you have like a shit ton of grease in your grease vats, and it leaves like a trail of grease because they didn't empty it throughout the day. And so then like just PTSD from cleaning all the grills and getting burned. I'm pretty sure I have some like burn marks. Yeah, like right here. It's a burn mark from McDonald's. So
yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
It's very light, but I can see that. Yeah.
So you fire me, grill.
Like seriously, when I hear like popping at my own place of like oil in a pan, I'm like, no. Or like when I make egg rolls and it like pop, pop, pop. I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, PTSD.
Honestly, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what has been the hardest part for you with like looking for a job right now?
I think the hardest job is finding something that like aligns with me because yeah, I'm really good at admin, but at the same time, like I'm open to other things because like in my mind, I think everything's an experiment, you know? Mm-hmm. And there are things that like I wouldn't not see myself doing. Like I see myself working as a barista. I see myself working in coffee. I see myself possibly working in sales. But it's like I know what I'm good at, but it's like just because you're good at something doesn't mean that it's, you know, meant for you to do your entire life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So you're kind of like open to anything, but it's also like the wages that matter to you too. Cause you're like, hello, I have a lifestyle I need to keep up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like I get callbacks from minimum wage jobs. And it's like, no, I don't want to be paid 12 hours. Like that was what I was getting paid at Lee and Chin as a shift supervisor. Like that gets me effed up. Like don't call me back.
Yeah, which like leads to the conversation of like why fast food folks get paid so little.
Yeah.
When we do so fucking much. And they are a $1 billion industry. First of all, they could pay their supervisors and their workers more instead of giving their GMs like a $80,000 bonus at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is really frustrating though. And I think the other frustrating part is, you know, when you know you meet the minimum qualifications of like a salaried 9-to-5 job, whether it's profit or nonprofit, and then they email you back and they're like, you don't meet our minimum qualifications. But it's like, okay, I know I do. And my sister and I have said this before because she was like on the job hunt for a little bit too. But she's like, it's less about what you can do, but people you know. And that's really frustrating. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I know that that's how I feel. I'm like, it really is about the people you know. Like if you know somebody in human services department, you're more likely able to get a job other than outside of being an external applicant.
No, that makes total sense. I feel like because, like, for example, in my bachelor's program, like I worked with a director and like she just helped create an internship position for me. So it's like when you have powerful resources or people who can reference you in, like that makes or break it. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, okay, I love networking, but at the same time, it's exhausting because it's like, okay, am I here to just play your little politics or am I actually here to like show you my skills and what I can do?
Yeah.
So that is really frustrating.
Yeah.
But so if you want to hire Ariel and you know of any great job opportunities, send them our way.
Taking inquiries currently.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
No, I really love it. I saw this TikTok video of this girl. She just put her resume up in her cover letter and she's like, here's my qualifications. Like, here's what I've done. Like, if you are hiring, whether remotely, like I'm willing to relocate as well.
Wow.
And then like people like commented on our videos. They're like, oh, our company's hiring. Like you would meet our qualifications. I can act as a reference. Like that's the one thing I love about the TikTok community too. Sometimes you do have like legitimate like interactions where people are like, you know, I don't know you, but I see that you have the experience. Let's do this. Let's make this work. And they come together as an online community. So I'm not saying you should do that, but I've seen people on LinkedIn do that too. So I mean, that might be one way to go.
I think I might just try that because, like, I don't really care what other people think for the most part. But that reminds me of a TikTok video where this girl was talking. She had a screenshotted picture of a guy holding a billboard with a barcode. And she was just telling the story of this guy who was, I think, in New York City. And he had a barcode taped onto cardboard. And then he was waving it around. And it was like, hire me. And the barcode was to his resume. And he actually had like over 100 or so inquiries and like job applications and like, yeah, job opportunities. So I was like, people are really creative. Like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, part of me is like, why do they have to get that creative if you're hiring? Hire them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, companies do like people who kind of step outside the box too and do their best to get your attention. So, yeah. But what has been your worst like interview experience so far, if you've gotten to that point? I can start off.
Yeah, you can start off. I'm thinking.
So I haven't interviewed in a long time, and the last job that I interviewed for, it went really great. But this is prior to my position now at my current organization. I had been applying for a couple jobs, or a few jobs, and I got called in for an interview for one. I was 23, 24, almost complete with my master's. And, I thought the interview was going great. And at the end, they're like, well, what are your salary expectations? I was coming out of an AmeriCorps program, getting used to getting paid like $200 a week.
Oh, right. I remember
So
you.
I'm like, anything
saying
that is more than what I get paid now. I didn't say that out loud, but I gave like a really low number. I gave like $40,000 a year, which is really low. And they're like, oh, we don't think we can pay that because you're not done with your graduate program yet. I'm like, and I was like, oh, well, your qualifications say that just at least associate's degree.
Yeah.
Well, we have to see, if your associate's degree and bachelor's degree meets our requirements. But right now, that doesn't meet our salary requirements. We can offer you probably, 38. And I was like, I'm good.
They're pinching pennies.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're literally hiring for a position that says a degree requirement is an associate's degree. And I have my bachelor's and I have a semester left in my master's degree. And I told you 40 when your listing said anywhere between 38 to 44. So I even lowballed myself. And I was like, okay, well, polite, thanks for the interview. I left. And then, you're supposed to email them when you interview them. Thanks for the interview. And I did that. And they're like, yeah, they got back to me a week later. They're like, we really enjoyed our interview. If you want to, we want to extend the offer for 38. And I was like, I told you in the interview 40. And you still offer me 38. I was like, obviously there's people with worse interview stories. But to me, that was just like the cherry on top because they were so hypocritical about their listing. Like, oh, you don't have your master's degree yet? We're not going to give you that. We're going to give you the lowest end of the offer. Even though our minimum requirements we put on there was an associate's degree.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm salty about that.
But that gives you the impression that like they're probably trying to get someone, they don't care who, at the lowest rate possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, and I'm like, and it also shows that they don't value their workers. So I was like, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I didn't go with that. And then I ended up getting hired at my current organization. So, which thank goodness, because yeah.
You dodged a bullet.
I did.
Yeah.
I really did dodge a bullet. Yeah.
I don't think, because I haven't been, I've been interviewed twice, but before that, I haven't been interviewed 3 years prior. So I don't think in all my years of working, because I've been working since 16, that I've had a bad interview. But when I was a supervisor at a medical malpractice, I actually interviewed people for a position, and I had one that was so awkward. We can talk about that.
Yeah, being in hiring committees is so interesting because you get to see like the resumes that come in.
Yeah.
And I've been in first and second round interviews for those too. And some people, like, they pop off.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, I want to hire them.
Yeah.
And other people, you're like, did you get enough sleep?
Yeah.
So what was your like almost awkwardest interview experience interviewing other people?
So I think at the time the office manager was like out of office or something. And she's like, oh, can you help me do first rounds? And I was like, okay, sure. It's like front desk receptionist you're looking for. So I interviewed like 2 people, and this is all within a 7-week span. Yeah, so the first 2 people went great. And then the third person, he was a guy. And he actually came on the wrong date, first off. That was a red sign. So he was scheduled for a Wednesday, but came in on a Tuesday.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not sure what happened. I mean, I've always said it was this date, this time. And he's like, oh, I just put on the calendar wrong. And I was like, okay, that's genuine. That's honestly genuine. Like, we're all human, right? So I was like, I can't do it today because I have a meeting, but come back tomorrow at your scheduled time and we can do it.
Yeah.
So tomorrow rolls around, scheduled time comes, and he's 10 minutes late. Yeah. And there's no excuse because where I worked at the medical malpractice place, we have ramps connected to the building. So it's not like, you got to find street parking. No. We're 10 feet away from the ramp.
Our doors are connected.
Yeah. So in my head, I was like, that's no excuse. And he came in and he wore like ripped jeans and like a blazer and like a nice white top. I was just like, okay, not a good first impression. Sits down, talks about things. He has gum in his mouth. And it's just like, he'd say 4 sentences and then pop, pop, pop. Yeah. I'm not. He blow over the psh, and I'm just like, oh, obviously I can keep a straight face. I was just like,
I could not have. I would have been like, because I can't hide my race emotions. I'm sorry.
yeah, you can sort of tell when Emily's pissed sometimes. She just lets you see it. But yeah, I kept my composure, and then I was just like, okay. And it was like 5 minutes in, and it was winter. So, people come in with the sniffles. You have to blow your nose sometimes. I totally get it. But for him, like, he sneezed. So it was like, achoo! And he sneezed into his elbow.
Uh-huh.
And when he basically wiped his arm on his nose. And when it came away, there was like, yeah, there was like boogers. It was like a 4-inch booger. And like white stuff, the mucus stuff. It was on his blazer. And we both looked at it. We were like, and I just sat there in silence because I was just like, I have never in my life ever been in such an awkward situation. I didn't know what to say. For once in my life, I'm very talkative. And I think it was like maybe 10 seconds. He looked at it too. And I was like, do you just want to go to the bathroom? And he was like, yeah, can you excuse me? I was like, yeah, you're excused. So he goes to the bathroom, comes back, and it looks like we have paper towels. So he put like water and paper towels on it, but there's just like this huge wet streak in his arm. And at that point, I was like, yeah, no, you're not getting hired. And we shook hands. I was like, all right, well, if you're in second rounds, yeah, the office manager will be back next week and you'll hear from her. Thanks so much for coming in. And like, you'll hear from us soon, hopefully. And we left. He left.
Yeah. So were you silent or were you silenced by the booger?
Oh, I don't know. I've never seen a booger that big. And so wet. I was like, oh, he must have been really sick.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm like hoping that it was just a bad day for him.
I'm hoping so too.
But that tops it. I've never had an interview like that ever.
Yeah, that was, and I did interviews at the medical malpractice place and at Lee and Chin, but that topped it.
It's really fun participating in hiring committees. I'm so glad I've never had an interview like that. I did not know how I would have reacted to the boogie. Like, no.
I've never been in that situation either.
Well, now you have, and if it happens, okay, the only time I've been in that situation was my nieces and nephews, okay?
Okay, low-key, yeah. Yeah, because if they sneeze and you help them, yeah.
But you're a grown-ass adult. Okay.
I feel like if I would have sneezed, I would have been like holding my elbow over my mouth and been like, I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Honestly, or even like during the winter when we have meetings in person, I always have a tissue box with me because I don't know when I'm going to sneeze. So I always sneeze into the tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even if I'm on camera on screen, like that's what I do. Because I'm like, I don't know when a booger is going to fly out.
Yeah.
I pray for him. I hope he got a job.
I hope so too. I remember his first name. I don't remember his last name, but hope he's doing okay out there.
I hope so too. Oof. But
yeah.
So right now though, you are looking for a job.
Yeah.
But what are you doing currently while looking for a job?
I'm still a virtual assistant, but it's more part-time. And yeah, I'm just ready to pivot into something new because I don't know. I feel like I'm just an experimental person. Like I like experimenting with new industries, and I've never really been too hard on myself on like pivoting and trying something new. And I feel like it's the right time in my life where it's like, I'm ready for a change. And it's not that I'm not gonna not go back to being an entrepreneur, but I don't know. I've just come to terms with it,
Yeah.
But that's what I'm doing now.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's exciting. I know you've been looking to pivot for a little bit here. And it's very aerial.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think you are just a very like multifaceted person. You have skills in a lot of industries. So it makes sense for you to want to go and explore like another industry that you haven't worked in exclusively. It makes a lot of sense.
I think so too. Yeah. So if people don't know, me and Emily actually worked together at the North Hennepin Community College bookstore.
We did.
We did not meet that way.
No, we met in a class, as we've said before.
Yeah.
But I remember telling Ariel, I'm like, we have a part-time position opened up. at the
Did you
bookstore.
tell me about
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember how I got there, to be honest.
Yes, because I was like, that was when I got hired on as like a full-time person at the bookstore.
Okay.
And my position was open, and then one of our other student workers was leaving. So I was like, I told Pania and I told you.
Right. Okay, I remember
Pania worked there
that.
too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I brought my friends on to work with me.
Yeah.
It was a good time though.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we worked together at the bookstore. And we also did Hmong Student Club together. You did student government, right? At North Hennepin?
Student Senate.
Yeah, I did not. Yeah, so we have worked together before. But we haven't worked together in jobs outside of that.
Yeah.
We just hung out, which I'm okay with that.
It was fun.
It was really fun.
I think, yeah, I started off work study. And then I just remember it being chill and like doing homework and then helping people like ring out, getting people textbooks, restocking the shelves.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
chill time.
Chill time. If I could go back.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'd repeat college.
No, not college.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind working at the bookstore again, no.
Okay, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was a good time.
Yeah. Are there jobs that you would go back to?
Are there jobs that I would go back to? There is. If the museum, so I worked at the Children's Museum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, before I worked at this organization. I worked as a Vista, so I got paid the Vista amount. But if they had opened up a full-time position again and they reopened that department, I would go back and work there because I really liked working at the Children's Museum. I loved the mission of it. I loved being able to interact with like the community resources. I loved interacting with our community partners, and then interacting with the children and families when we did, free family nights. And like, I've even told my current supervisor this. I'm like, honestly, like if I could go back to the museum, I would. But our department is no longer existent there. COVID made a lot of budget cuts for organizations all across the board. But that is one job I would go back to, for sure. I really enjoyed it.
I think beginner job, I'd probably go back to Panera Bread, and I'll tell you why. Low key, I love the chili and the bread and their pastries.
Cheese is the best.
Yeah. And there, when you're an employee, I don't know if it's the same now because I worked there like maybe a couple of years ago, back in college. But you used to get 40 to 50% off meals.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
We didn't even get that at McDonald's.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I'd like probably eat out like every shift, but it's healthy food. It's like very Americanized food, very homey food. But yeah, I'd probably go back just for the discount.
Yeah, and 40 to 50% off. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't like customer service, but I mean, I would do it for the half off food and pastries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One job I would not go back to, Target.
You worked at Target?
I worked at Target. It was just for a month during the December Christmas season, holiday season. It was during college, and I'm like, I just need a job outside of my internship and outside of my other jobs. So I had 3 jobs. I had my internship, I had my work study, and then I had Target.
Wow.
Because I needed to cover my tuition. Okay.
I remember you being super busy. Wasn't that like North Hennepin, right?
No, that was the year after North Hennepin. So I transferred to Concordia.
Oh, okay.
And right across the highway, across the pedestrian bridge, was the Super Target on Midway. And I worked there for, I think, actually a month and a half. I would not go back to that Target. They were just so disorganized. I had only been working there for a week. I didn't know that I was covering breaks.
What is covering breaks?
So, like, you're covering breaks for other cashiers.
Oh, like that. Okay.
And, I remember someone coming up to me and like, you're supposed to be covering breaks, right? I was like, no, because my trainer's not in today.
Yeah.
And I looked at the board. It didn't say that Emily was covering breaks today. It just said Emily worked from 7 to midnight. So where on there does it say covering breaks? Well, just go cover breaks now. I'm like, how do I do that? Who am I covering? Who needs a break? Like, you details.
Where's the schedule?
Exactly. They're like, well, you can find it in the break room. So I go into the break room. There's nothing there. I go to one of the team leads. I'm like, I don't know who I'm covering break for. I'm like, do I just go to a random cashier? And he goes, nobody, where's your trainer? I'm like, they're not fucking here.
Yeah.
So he like sighed in frustration. He went to his little binder. He's like, oh, okay, I see now you're indicated as a breaker, but your trainer's not here, so you didn't know that. He's like, how long have you been working here? I was like, literally a week, buddy. So he's like, I'll just cover breaks. Like, don't worry about it. Just go back to your register. So I'm like, okay, now I got to go back to my register. And then I was working there for about 2 weeks. And they're like, we need people on the floor to like restock. And so then they pulled me because we had a lot of cashiers. And they're like, just take this phone, scan an item, and then go in the back and look for it. I'm like, you're not going to show me like how the back looks, like how much I bring up, like how do I bring it up, like what cards do I use, like. And so then I'm like, okay. So I'm like scanning random aisles for stuff, and I go in the back and I grab a card. I'm like, okay, well this thing needs to be restocked. So I grab it and I get yelled at. They're like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to grab it. I'm like, you're prison on the floor. Just told me I needed to restock. So I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm quitting. I quit. And so then I didn't quit. I worked there for another few weeks. I needed the money. But I like literally just like put the phone down, and then I was putting the cart back where I got it, where I put it in the exact same spot. And the girl yelled at me, she goes, you're not supposed to leave the cart there. I was like, it was already here. Like, I yelled that back at her and I walked away. And I'm like, what a dumb bitch. First of all, your cart was already here and you're yelling at me about it being in the spot it was already at.
Yeah.
And so then the next day I came back because I left the shift. I just walked out. But they didn't fire me because they have so many workers they don't even know about.
Yeah.
And so I went in, and then I asked the guys, okay, yesterday you told me to do this. You were not very clear. So what do you want me to do? You need to be more clear. He goes, okay, how about you just work on taking back things from the cashiers? Like, people would give them things to like put in the red basket because they don't want it anymore. Mm-hmm. Just gather all those, put it in a shopping cart, and put them back where they belong. And I'm like, I can do that. Thank you for explaining thoroughly this time. So I did that. I went to every cashier and every self-checkout, and I like grabbed things that people discarded, put them back. That was my shift. I'm like, that was the first good shift I've had at Target.
I like that because you work solo and you just work at your own time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, I'm still working and putting things away. I'm cleaning up as I go. Mm-hmm. I would never do it again because my last day there was December 23rd.
Dang, you remember?
Yeah, because people were doing last minute shopping for the holidays. And I know because that Midway Target was like the #1 Target for making sales during the holiday season. And I worked, we were supposed to close at midnight, but people, they like to browse. And we had to make the announcement 5 times that we were fucking closed. Finally, the lady comes up. She has 3 carts. I'm scanning this bitch. And her total comes to like 800 something. And she's like, that's not right. That's not right. And I'm like, it's 12:15. You're here 15 minutes past close. Like, you chose these things. How is it not right? And so then my manager had to step in. He counted every item for her. Like, they took it out. He goes, I'm looking for this item. Okay, here it is. Put it in this cart. That's correct. And then it turned out to be correct. Oh, sorry. No, you're not, bitch. But the worst part, and the reason why I would never go back there, is because I had a ghost follow me home from Target.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
No.
Because I would walk back to my dorms from Target. So I would walk across the highway, the pedestrian bridge. But it was like it was still a half an hour walk because you have to walk a certain way to the pedestrian bridge, walk this way, walk that way. And it was always in the dark, always past midnight. I was walking back home. I remember one day walking back to my apartments. The first door opens, but the second door, there's 2 sets of doors. This door you have to open manually. The second door, it opens automatically because you have to scan your card and it opens for you, but it takes forever to close. So I remember going in, and then I hear like footsteps behind me running. And so I'm like, oh my God, somebody's gonna fucking attack me. I turn around, there's nobody there.
Oh.
So I'm like, the door's not closing. What the fuck? So I'm like standing there just staring in the dark. Like, the outside looked so dark, darker than it had ever been before. And this is, again, about my 3rd week working there. So I had been working at Target. I was working at Target longer than that. But after that night, I slept in my room and kumacho.
Oh my God.
And so then I was like, yeah, fuck this. My roommate wasn't there. She had gone home for the holidays. So I moved my bed into the living room because that was the only place I felt safe in our apartment.
Yeah.
And I remember I worked there till December 23rd. And then I went to stay at my sister's place December 24th because we were going to go to my parents' place on Christmas Day. And they prepared their guest room for me, and I went to sleep. And I remember waking up in a dream. And when I looked up, I was laying on my back. I looked up like this towards the door. There's a little girl standing there. And then she turned into this like bird/squirrel, and she was jumping on my bed, and I could feel my bed bouncing. It was an air mattress. And then it like went outside the window, but I could not move. Like I kept trying to move and I could not move. When I finally woke up, I was like gasping for air. And then I asked my sister, I was like, do you guys have like something in your house? And she's like, no. So I told my sister, I was like, well, I got sat on last night. And she's like, there's nothing in my house. You're not going to speak that into existence. And so I was like, at this time, I wasn't really close to my parents too. She tattled on me to my mom. And then my mom like had an aunt do something, and the aunt was like, something followed you home on your walks from Target. Like it noticed you like walking home alone all the time, so it just followed you home. Like she's like, did you hear something running after you one night? I was like, yes. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, first of all, working there was a horrible experience. And then I got a ghost follow me home because of it. No, thank you.
I will never go back.
Yeah, seriously, I'll go shopping there. I'll give you my money. But the discounts also sucked.
Yeah.
So I would never work at Target again.
It's so funny because growing up, I was like, I want to work at Target.
Exactly.
That was my go-to workplace, and they rejected me. The 5 applications I put in.
What the 5?
Yeah. Because I'm a trier. I'm trying. I don't care. Judge me all you want. But that was back in college.
Yeah, I'm glad that you did not work there though.
Yeah.
Because I about lost my mind. I was there for 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They called me for my next shift my next shift was December or January 1st, New Year's Day. They called me. I just ignored their phone call.
And
honestly, and then I blocked. I'm like, I don't want to work there. I even put in 2 week notice. I was like, this place is fucking shit, and y'all had to go follow me home.
That's how you know you hate it.
Yeah.
You don't need to give a 2 week notice.
And you know how long it took me to go back to shop at Target though?
Next day?
No, it took me 6 months. Like I would even though they're right next to right across the highway from my dorms, I was like, I'll go to Cup Foods.
Yeah.
To buy groceries. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it took me 6 months to go shop at Target again.
That's funny because my sister was like a 2-part employee. She worked at the Starbucks.
Oh, okay.
And then she also did Target. And I was telling her, yeah, I might want to work Target again. She's like, don't do it. And it was a 10% off.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Exactly.
That's like $1.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Not even worth that.
I know how much money you guys make.
Yeah.
Okay. You could pay more.
And I didn't know they paid minimum wage. I honestly did not know that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I mean, luckily at my location, they paid $16 an hour.
Oh, that's
which is higher than minimum wage. Right now, that is minimum wage. But,
back then,
6-7 years ago, 16. I was like, yeah, that'll pay for a semester of college if I work for 6 weeks and I don't use any of that money.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me of the 2 positions that I hated that I would never go back to.
Speak on it.
So before I worked at Panera Bread, I actually got hired to work at Caribou Coffee. Guess how long I worked there for?
3 weeks.
No. I'll give you one more guess.
Wait, longer or shorter?
You're cold.
I'm cold. 2 days.
Actually, seriously? I worked 7 days. And I'll tell you why. So I got hired on, and they're like, we're in a transition period. Another transition.
I
what?
hate that phrase.
Yeah. So basically, they're like, yeah, we're moving to a new location because it's bigger and it's better, and it's newly renovated, and it's 5 minutes drive away. Mm-hmm. And so the plan was you're gonna get trained here, but then at that time they're also bringing in Bruegger's Bagels. Is that what they're called?
Oh yeah, Bruegger's. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they're like, it's just gonna be a lot more training because we're adding Bruegger's Bagels. And I was like, okay. Oh my God, I had never been in such a chaotic ass place. When I tell you there were 10 faces and then 2 new faces every single day. Yeah. I don't know if it's because they had to cross-train everyone. That's the other thing. They're like, you need to be cross-trained and everything. And so coming in, because I went in 7 days in a row, I didn't learn very much because they were all over the place. And because they were bringing in Bruegger's Bagels, everything was shit training. You'd be taught one way, and the next day you come, they'd be like, oh no, that's not the right way. Do it.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that so much.
And after the 7th day, like, I made up an excuse. I was just like, oh, you know, something happened in my family. I feel bad. I just didn't walk out. But they're like, yeah, we'd really like to hire you on for both burger bagels and caribou. And I made some dumb excuse. And I was like, I'm just not. I can't. I'm sorry. But what I really wanted to say was, you guys suck. Suck my tit. Tit. Bye. I'm out of here. Y'all suck. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But 7 days, I was done with caribou coffee.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
And then the second position was when I was working front desk receptionist at the Children's Hospital at the U of M.
I remember you mentioning that job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that job through a temp agency. The temp was very nice, and the position was very nice. It was well trained. Coworkers were nice. They were willing to hire me on, but I denied it at the end because I'm telling you, adults are bad, but the parents of children, because we worked in the children's pediatrics department, are fucking horrible. Like, that was one of the jobs where I regretted even applying and, like, accepting because the parents were so fucking horrible. Like, they'd come late 30 minutes, and this is specialty stuff. And, like, they'd come in and be like, oh, I'm here. And I was like, are you for this person? They're like, yeah. And I was like, that's 30 minutes ago. And the parking and stuff sucked ass there. So obviously I get it if you're running like 5 minutes late. But I think the motto there was like, if they're 15 minutes late, they have to be rescheduled. And so parents would obviously be very ticked off. They'd be like, well, you know, I've waited 6 months for this. My kid needs help, da 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 da. And then we'd have to work them into the schedule. And then we'd have to work late because they'd have to be seen at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But I hated that job. And I also hated it too because I think deep down inside, like, it's just so sad. You'd see a kid 6 months and then, like, you know, well, 6 months they're there and then next week it's like they're not there.
Yeah.
I just like, that's a little fucked up. That messes with you.
Yeah. The emotional toll of that.
Yeah. And, like, kids were so nice. Like, I'd get little stickers and, like, kids would draw little pictures of me and give it to me and I'd bring it home. But, yeah, I just think the emotional toll that those people take, it messes with your brain.
Yeah.
Like, it altered my brain chemistry.
Yeah. No, that is really hard. I have not worked in a hospital setting like that, but I can just imagine, like, they're assholes to you because they're just so stressed. And so they don't see anything outside of, like, I need to get my kid help. And that is hard for you and hard for you to work with. So, yeah. That's, yeah.
But I never go back to any of those jobs.
I would not either. I would not.
And the biggest issue that we used to run into working front desk was insurance.
Oh, yeah. I bet. Yeah.
So we'd sometimes have to get on the phone and be like, you know, what are their new policy numbers and group numbers? Because this one expired 4 months ago. So shit like that. Like, I hated doing that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And insurance is such a fucking scam.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, my God. Anyways, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I will. What advice right now, like, would you give to people who are also, like, job hunting with you?
I think being on both sides, like hiring people and being hired on, like, it's a very daunting process. But I feel like when you're authentically yourself, you can better connect with people who are hiring. And I feel like that's what's really done me well is, like, when I'm able to emotionally and personally connect to someone. Like, even if it's just a simple compliment of, like, oh, where did you get your necklace? Oh, it's from Kendra Scott. Oh, my God, I follow them in emails. Like, which one's your favorite? Are you into their seasonal design brand? Just, like, little things like that, like, people do. It does really pique people's interest and, like, gives you almost, like, a leg up. And I know that sounds a little bit like people-pleasing, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a referral, you gotta do and take anything that you can get. Mm-hmm. So that's a tip.
Yeah, I agree. I also think going in prepared for your interview is really, really important. I think a lot of people take for granted that you can, like, I don't know if you've had interviews like this, but they send you questions beforehand, right? You can go into your interview with a list of questions printed out. Mm-hmm. And if you've, like, practiced answers and you have that, like, obviously don't hold it like a script in your interview, but bring it in with you. They like to see that you're prepared. They like to see that you're actually interested and passionate about the role. Mm-hmm. and that you took the time to like prepare yourself. But like Ariel said, like also be authentic and true to yourself. I know I am in the interviews. I just like the one question that I hate, but I also love is when they ask like, what kind of like style of like leading do you like for your supervisor, you know, what do you prefer, what can you work with? And I always say like, I was like, I hate micromanagers. And I don't say I hate micromanagers, but I say like, I'm honest about it. I'm like,
in a nice way.
yeah, I'm like, I get my work done. If you give me a task, I do it and I do it well. I don't do well with micromanagers because that, you know, distracts me from my work if I'm having to fulfill your every need. And so I'm like, oh, just be honest, tactfully, and be prepared. I think a lot of times people take that for granted is I can go in prepared. I can have, you know, my things printed out. I think people are so scared about showing perfect without knowing that like coming prepared with paperwork that may not look perfect to you on the outside, but to the recruiter. I know for me, when I've been in hiring committees, I'm like, this bitch came prepared. I like her.
They take initiative to
Exactly. And like I always bring like copies of materials of things that I've done before. Like if I made a newsletter, if I made a worksheet and it's relevant to this job, I bring that and be like, this is an example of the work I've done. They like that too. So yeah, it is really sad that you have to be like, here's me on a silver platter. I don't think it should be like you should have to go out of your way 1000%, but I think put in some effort. And that's my advice to you.
No, I echo that because first impressions are everything. Like, don't be the guy who sneezes and then has snot on your doesn't excuse yourself. Yeah, no ripped jeans.
Honest. See, that's the thing too. Like when I was in the Vista program, I didn't have to train people. Luckily, that was my program manager. But like a lot of people who like go into like the Vista program too have never been in a professional environment, so they don't know what it means to dress professionally. Which is why the whole trend on TikTok of like office siren pissed me off.
What's that?
So it was like this trend of girls dressing up as like an office siren. Like you're the cute girl at work, and they would wear like really inappropriate outfits for like really short skirts with like really like with pantyhose that weren't very much pantyhose, and then like really low cut shirts, and they're like office siren clothes. I'm like, if I wore that at work, I'd get written up. First of all. And it's like, this is what I would wear to work. Like I would put on like dress pants, this shirt, and like a blazer over this, and that's my work outfit, and it's still cute. You do not need to dress low cut with a mini skirt. Okay, you do not need to be wearing like a silk slip with a blazer over to work. That's really inappropriate. And not saying that some of the Vista members that I worked with just like that, but like it's crazy how a lot of people also don't understand like professionalism. Like it's not, professionalism isn't, oh, I'm playing to the big man. It's okay, like what is appropriate versus not appropriate, and wearing lace leggings to work with a mini skirt, not very appropriate. So I think also like take the time to like look okay, look professional. Yeah,
first impressions are everything. For like men, clean cut, shave, you know, maybe pluck those nose hairs, because I have seen the boogers on nose hairs and I'm just like, whoa. Buddy, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I feel like for women, like that is a hard part to sort of navigate, right? Of like, you have your own personal style, but at the same time, how can that complement professionalism?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I like to dress in baggy clothes, right? And I make that look professional for me. And so if that's how you do it, that's how you do it. If you feel like you dress up a little bit more, do that. But you can do it in a demure, professional way. Yeah. And unfortunately, that is first impressions. Of course, there are some people who are always going to not like how you dress, but I think there are bottom lines. So, yeah. But that's advice for us. I think your resume is also really important too, how you create your resume and how you present that. Always do a cover letter. I know some people don't like doing cover letters.
I hate cover letters. But I've been AIing my cover letters.
You know what? And like that's been the suggestion though of a lot of like LinkedIn recruiters is like, if you use AI, that's fine. Just make sure that it's still tailored to you.
Yeah, of course.
And the work that you do. I don't use AI for my cover letters. I copy and paste my cover letters.
Oh, okay.
But I don't use AI for my cover letters. And one thing that I do as someone who's been on hiring committees, if you're not someone who's been on hiring committees, this is harder for you to do. But for our really strong candidates, what I like to do is I look at their resume and their cover letters and I go, what do I like from that? And I implement it into my own. I'm like, I really like these proponents of her resume and her cover letter. I didn't, there's some parts that are just not me. So like some parts I took and I'm like, let me try to implement that into my cover letter, my resume. So if you're in hiring committees and you're like, maybe, even if you're not looking for a new job, I wasn't looking for a new job at that time. I still like updated my resume and my cover letter just in case, I did get to that point, and I did get to that point. But make sure to always like keep your cover letter and your resume up to date too. If you have like a job description that gets updated every year, make sure you update your resume to reflect that job description update too.
I like that, keeping that up to date. So since I've been getting back into the job searching world and a full-time role, like, since you've been in more hiring committees than me, do you guys actually check out people's social media? Because I hear so many I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because I hear so many mixed reviews about that, of like, people will stalk you, the hiring committee, to see what you're up to socially, so that way they can make an informed decision on the impact you're going to bring to their company.
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
All the hiring committees that I've been on, we have not. But that's because our organization doesn't focus on that. I guess we want to know what skills you have and what experience you have in our niche field. But like, yeah, the search committees I've been on, we haven't looked at social media. But I think I've heard of one other company only that I've applied to where they've looked at my social media.
Really? What was that? Was it a nonprofit for-profit?
It was so it was a for-profit organization, and they were just doing like a comprehensive like background check. And on their application, they did indicate that they would look at social media. So I knew that they were going to, but they were doing like a comprehensive criminal, driving, social media, and like work. So they did want to contact my current employer too.
Wow. That's really thorough.
Yeah. Because they were like, we work with like really confidential information. So of course they want to check your social media. Are you posting about your clients and stuff like that? I'm private on my social media, so I didn't have an issue with it. But that was the one time that I did. And so I've been in 2 hiring committees at North Hennepin, and then I've been in 5 at my current role. And we've never checked social media, even if it's for phone interview for the first or second run. And I've been in all 3. So, yeah. So I think as long as you're the type of person who isn't posting racist, misogynistic, crazy, or confidential information on social media, you're fine. Like, you're posting, oh, this is my day, like, I really enjoyed blah, blah, blah. Or this restaurant was a piece of shit, like, here's my experience. Like, that's fine. But if you're going off on, like, racist rants, what is that word? Where, like, exposing people and their addresses. Doxing.
Oh, yeah, doxing.
Yeah, like, where if you're doxing people, that's an issue. Maybe be scared. But I think, like, if I were you, I would not be afraid.
Yeah. No, I'm not afraid. I was just like, I was thinking to myself the other day, like, maybe it's just for larger or bigger roles. But I've never been put in a situation where it's like they came up to me in an interview and it's like, when you posted this, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
I've never been in that situation before.
Yeah. I haven't either. And we haven't in our hiring committees done that to someone. I do think, though, there is like a certain like industry where if you're online and you're looking for a job and people know you for it, then that might be an issue. Like porn, obviously, is like, if you do porn or OnlyFans, we don't know who subscribed to that.
That's so true.
So like, if you are a very popular OnlyFans person or porn star, then, and the person on the search committee happens to be a subscriber and they know, or like your name is easy to look up and is connected to your accounts. I'm not like shaming sex work, because sometimes people do that to survive. But like, then you would show up.
Yeah.
So just be careful about your online activity, because whatever goes on the internet stays on the internet.
Nothing can ever be erased.
No. Like, they have drivers somewhere. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that if you have a pretty healthy social media life, like, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And honestly, actually, back to like what you're talking about, like being personable, that does play a big role in hiring.
100%.
I felt like all the hiring committees I've been on, we've always had personable people interviewing, but there are some people that were too personable.
Really?
Like, they would, instead of focusing on the interview questions, they like, a lot of the conversation would veer to like things that they've done in their personal life instead of in their professional life. I'm like, okay, I get you're trying to be personable.
Well, like what? Like you did a 7 7-day hike on da da da.
Well, it's like, okay, well, let's talk about like, okay, what is your experience working in, like, let me just make it up, like event planning, right? Like how has that gone for you? How big of an event was it? And they would spend less time explaining their professional work in event planning and talk about like, oh, well, I attended this event and it was just really great. And I like would love to mirror that event because like, I just really enjoyed the people. I really enjoyed the artists. And I'm like, okay, that's great. I know you're trying to relate, but I want to know how you worked in an event planning situation, not when you attended an event and then you want to implement that. How did you implement it? So as much as you want to tell your personal experience because you think it's really great and there are things you want to implement, I want to hear about how you use your skills to implement an actual event.
That's a really good tip for people, actually, keeping it like balanced 50-50 almost, and not making it all about you, but also what you can do to help others.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Tips. No, hiring and applying for jobs is scary. I told Ariel this. I luckily am fortunate that I have a job that I've stayed in. It'll be my 5th year now.
What?
I know, and I just got promoted.
Just got promoted.
I'm like so excited. I was telling her, I was like, I'm shaking. Like I couldn't, my hands were shaking. I couldn't type at all. But like I'm very fortunate to have been in this position in this organization for 5 years and been a part of like hiring committees and really great opportunities at this job. And the one thing, wait, where was I going with that? I don't even know anymore. I think
you're just talking about your job. Yeah.
my job. Yeah.
Update.
Yeah. So I just think that like going in, I was thinking like the job market is really scary. I'm lucky to be in this position and this organization, but like at some point I didn't know if I was going to have my position.
Yeah.
Right. And so I started applying for jobs, like panic mode 1, and then 2, like very intentionally applying for jobs. But I'm like, this fits my what I want. This fits my career goals. This fits my salary goals. And it's scary because you're like, oh my God, did I answer that question, that supplementary question, like the way they wanted? Do I look good on my resume? Do I look good on my cover letter? It is really scary. And one other piece of advice is like, let's say you get offered a job because you went through the interview process and they like you, but the salary does not meet your expectations. I would say go with your gut because that's what I did. And if it doesn't meet your expectations, it's making less than what you make now, it's okay to say no to that job. They'll find another person. And you know that you didn't settle for a job that doesn't pay you what you're worth. I think that's really hard. I was like, oh my God, I feel horrible saying no to this job. But I was like, no, like my gut is telling me I should. And they were paying less than what I was being paid now. And I was supervising a lot more people in this new position.
Tell them how many people you'd be supervising.
Over 20. Yeah. And like, it's a great organization. And again, I've been in that position of the people that I would be supervising, but I'm like, that's a lot of people to supervise for that amount of pay. Like if they had given me at least the cap, I would have been like, yeah, I'll do it. But it wasn't. I was getting paid less than what I was in my current position supervising a zero people. So don't be afraid to say no. Obviously do it tactfully, but like know your worth at the end of the day. And like that organization, they're going to find someone who's willing to meet their needs. But you need to fulfill yours. So don't be afraid to say no.
Yeah, bouncing off that, I think it makes it harder for me sometimes because like working for yourself and then bouncing back to working for someone else, like it really does put me in the position of being a little bit more selective and a little bit more picky. Because I think at the end of the day, I do, and I'm sure a lot of folks feel this way of like, we're looking for something that's in alignment with us. Whether it's the job responsibilities, whether it's your mission, whether it's your flexibility, like it's something has to align, you know, like we're not just going to do something because we need to do it now, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm in the same boat. Like I've said no to a couple people and it didn't feel good, but at the same time, like it wasn't in full alignment with me. So don't be scared to just say no. And like, if it's not a heck yes, don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you're of the mind of like, I'm going to take this on until I can find a better opportunity and that's something that can support you while that happens, do it. But yeah, don't be afraid to say no if it doesn't align with you and your work. So,
right.
yeah. Well, that was our job. Our fun job episode. But I think that for those of you who are looking for jobs out there, you got this. It's hard. I think everybody's struggling right now. As much as they say it's a worker's market, it really isn't. It really is unfortunate that there are places that aren't paying enough. But you got this. Hopefully your tips help you.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We're so excited that you're here for season 2. Again, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share episodes. Thanks for tuning in.